Hello everybody, this video is to talk about the possible house that Poseidon lived in, and if you followed this thumbnail, I promise I'm going to explain everything as quickly as possible. Here is an outline of what looks like it could be a castle. It's located in the Richat structure, which is a dome type of geology. There is a lot of different information you can look up, and it's located here about 400 kilometers from the ocean on the continent of Africa on the west side of the Sahara Desert. Now, I did discover this by myself using Google Maps, but ever since this was used as a global landmark for astronauts, many people have pondered what it is, as did I when I first discovered it by myself. But when I saw this video series by Bright Insight, I knew that he really was onto something. How did I find Bright Insight? Well, when I started looking into the different megalithic structures around the world, and I came up with my own theory that these structures, which are going around the world in a ring, I think that this ring could be a previous equator. Maybe the same cataclysmic disaster that took out Atlantis was also possibly the cause of the Earth changing its axis. However, moving on from this idea, and I'll talk about this in a future video, I've already spoken about it before, I started to do research on megalithic structures around the world. I really like New Earth's channel. She's got hundreds of videos about ancient civilizations and megalithic structures. So when it comes to the term Atlantis, I think the Richat structure was definitely the center downtown Atlantis, but this ancient technology goes around the world. For example, here this pyramid under the ocean is 700 meters deep, and if that's true, then it was a long time ago when 700 meters was at sea level. And by the way, this could have sunk or the waters could have risen. There's a lot of different ways that it got down there. But we're talking about this castle, and this, well, I call it the castle because Jimmy from Bright Insight also called it the castle. He said it could be a castle, and it could be a sheep yard. And what's that building in the middle there? If this is a yard, well, I took some measurements. This is located right about here in the Richat structure, and the Richat structure is quite big. Another shot from space. You can see that sand patch right there. That's called, I call it the Quarry, but that means that the so-called castle outline is right about here, and that is on the center island. We have a lot of information from Plato, but at first let me show you that the location is about 21 degrees just below the Tropic of Cancer in the country of Mauritania. And if you want to find it, just follow the bottom of the Western Sahara. There's a little hook right there, and you just follow it right over and you'll find it. It's not hard to find. One of the things I learned from visiting Atlantis was the actual island of Atlantis was situated so if the canal went to the ocean, then most logically it probably was a little bit angled. So perhaps it was, according to this map here, the B, his house. Although I did show you there was a canal to the sea. Maybe this was turned 90 degrees. Maybe it was 180 degrees. Because if you look at this, when they did flooding software, they brought the water. It still exposes the Adrar Highlands, which would have been the island of Atlantis. I believe that it got washed into the sea during a great flood. It was Jimmy that actually showed the measurement. This is what really turned me on. Now, I've seen this measurement in other places since then, but he was the first. He was the one that broke it to me. And that location of the castle right there, I can do some quick measurements. Whatever this was, it had 4,800 square meters of area inside, and it's 123 meters across, maybe 124 depending on where you put your starting point, and 93 meters from the north side to the south side. Each side 66, 62 and a half, 66.92 I've got, and 82 in the back. So we've got quite a bit of area, and these little tiny things, those little tiny circles, that one is 7 meters and this one is 5.5 meters across. I also got this one. This one is 3.84 meters across. And the little house is 5.33 meters wide and almost 7 meters long. The area of that little house is 36 meters. It's almost much bigger than my room. It's about as big as a house. These wall structures, whatever those are, they kind of look like they could be stones, but it looks like something in there. Maybe the only megalithic stones. We really need to get in there and check. That's 4 meters wide. 3.8. 4 meters meters wide. So when you look at this entire structure, you wonder, was it built in modern age? Was it built 13,000 years ago when Atlantis was supposed to be around? I think that if it didn't get washed away by the sea, then I'm just so curious. And I'm sure Jimmy is too, because I heard him offer $1,000 to anybody who could get some up-close photos of that. You can see there's a road that goes right next to it. This Bing map has a little bit more than the Google map. This shows right here a spring of some sort. That spring is way far out. It says Telanid Spring. That's outside of the main concentric circles. However, if you go inside, you will see that this castle is right next to a road. Let's go back in there and find it. It's right next to this road here. There's the road. You see these trees here. I don't see a spring labeled. Then you go over here and you find the castle. It's not hard to find. What is Atlantis? Plato wrote about Atlantis in Critias and Timaeus. Poseidon, who was a god, a giant in Chinese culture, married a human woman named Cleito, and they had 5 pairs of twins. Along with the descendants, they ruled the 10 provinces in which Poseidon had divided Atlantis, including the king. But when the divine element in them became weakened and their human traits became predominant, they ceased to be able to carry their prosperity with moderation, and therefore had to be destroyed by the angry gods. When I saw this video, I checked out some other videos, one by Visiting Atlantis. I found their series on the Lost History channel. I thought that was very interesting because this certainly is a mystery to me. And whether or not Poseidon was a real god or a human or an alien, I don't know. But I'm going to give you 10 reasons why Atlantis was located here. First, here's a list of Plato's writing. The main city of Atlantis consisted of concentric circles of water and land. The main city was constructed with red, black, and white rocks. The surrounding lands of Atlantis were graced by elephants. A well from the center island provided fresh water. Atlantis is based in a part of the Atlantic no longer accessible by ship. The capital city was densely crowded. The area surrounding the capital was sheltered by mountains from the north and open to the south. The main island is marked by a huge plain and surrounded by mountains leading to the sea. That's Plato's writing 2,500 years ago. Now, the size and shape is much better than any other site. I'm not going to spend time going over the alternative sites like Bermuda or Antarctica, but what I can say is that this site matches Plato's specifications very, very closely, as I do believe that the design of Atlantis matches these concentric circles so closely. Now, whether or not that canal was located here, which is the natural direction to the coast for a river that exists nowadays, which recently dried up. But it seems to me that if you compare the map that I showed you earlier, if you look at this one right here, you might find that the canal went over here or over here. So it's really hard to say which part of that concentric circle is where the house had existed. However, the temple would have been right in the middle. So in my opinion, I think they need to get in there and dig around that temple area as much as possible. And there are some existing buildings there. So in my opinion, the cataclysmic event that swept everything away took the whole mountain dome off the top. Okay, let's go with 10 reasons why Atlantis was located here. I read those. The size and shape is really similar to what Plato was talking about. The distance from Athens is also quite similar. If you take a quick left right outside the Pillars of Hercules, you get there in about 4,000 miles. There is evidence of a dense population in that area. They found so many things, including fishermen's weights and different stones that are useful as tools, including a stone needles. Furthermore, they have found things that look like skimboards or surfboards, and even lots of metal jewelry. I'm going to go there with my metal detector very soon. There's evidence of elephants and giraffes. They've found teeth of elephants there. There's military evidence. They found spherical stones that look like they could be used in some type of catapult. They're stone, and they also found quite a few arrowheads. Check out the video by Visiting Atlantis on how they did that. So there's a lot of ancient maps. This one shows in this approximate area. That's not very clear, and I don't know the year of this map, but it does show rivers starting here. This is going through. Now, Senegal River comes out at the bottom of the Sahara Desert, but there's several ancient maps with rivers rivers entering and going through the Sahara to the Nile. Herodotus made a map in 450 and he put Atlantis right there with a river leading from Atlantis going all the way to the Nile. Why he did that, I'm still researching. Inland shells and whale bones prove that this area used to be covered with water. Plato also mentioned that fresh water well in the center island, and according to Visiting Atlantis, they dug a new well and they found fresh water. Also, regarding the same color rocks, they took some videos of buildings that exist today with red and black and white stones. The modern culture, the Dogon people, follow the human fish myth. Even though they're mainly Islamic, they also have something called the Nomo spirit, which is very similar to a merman. They also have the twin cult. To the east is Nigeria, the country with the second highest twin birth rates. Benin, Nigeria are credited for having the highest twin birth rate in the world. Go to Igbo Ora, the home of twins. And that's it. That's all I got for now. I'm going to keep doing this type of material, so please stay tuned and have a great day.